The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors have been proudly serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class, and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At J.W. Williams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor, president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Miss Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Master Zymerian Newsome of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Vietnam War veteran Mr. Lonnie Lester of St. Petersburg, Florida, and Bereavement, Georgia. The family of United States Navy veteran Mr. Patrick A. Clark of Americus, Georgia. The family of Miss Marie Brown of Rochelle, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Rosa McBride of Araby, Georgia, and Somerville, North Carolina, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Master Zymerian Newsome, age 14, of 1416 Shepherd Court, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, October 9th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Master Zymerian Newsome, age 14, was held Sunday, October 17, at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Westview Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted father, Mr. Demetrius Newsome Sr., and his companion, Miss Tasha Hicks of Cordele, Georgia. His loving and devoted mother, Miss Victoria N. Williams of Warner Robins, Georgia. His beloved sisters, Miss Demetra S. Dawson and Miss Asia Newsome of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Star Leverson of Warner Robins, Georgia. Miss Malaysia Newsome, Miss J. Newsome, Miss Qualia Newsome, and Miss Qualia Newsome, all of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. Javaris Brown of Warner Robins, Georgia, Master Demetrius Newsome Jr., Master Zymerian Newsome, Master Quandarius Newsome, and Master Quamilla Newsome, all of Cordele, Georgia. His loving grandparents, Miss Carolyn Scott Williams of Cordele, Georgia. Deacon J.L. and Mrs. Ruby Williams of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Caring aunts and uncles, Miss Michelle Redding, Miss Lakeisha Newsome, and Miss Ramona Williams, all of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Felicia Williams of Warner Robins, Georgia. Miss Shanika Armstrong and Miss Adasia Williams, both of Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Tyrone Williams of North Fork, Virginia. Mr. Mantavius Claw of Cordele, Georgia. And Mr. J.L. Williams, Jr. of Atlanta, Georgia. A host of beloved cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive Master Zymerian Newsome, age 14, of 1416 Shepherd Court, Cordele, Georgia. United States Army veteran, Mr. Lonnie Lester, age 74, of St. Petersburg, Florida, formerly of Byronville, Georgia, died Tuesday, October 5th, at the St. Anthony Hospital in St. Petersburg, Florida. The funeral service for United States Army veteran, Mr. Lonnie Lester, age 74, was held Sunday, October 17, graveside at the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Cemetery in Byronville, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, officiated. Survivors include his beloved and caring friend and ex-wife, Miss Beatrice L. Lester of St. Petersburg, Florida. A beloved son, Mr. Eric Lester of St. Petersburg, Florida. His loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Martha Howard and her husband, Mr. Willie Howard of Miami, Florida, and Miss Susie L. Smith of Jacksonville, Florida. A host of loving and devoted nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Vietnam War Army veteran, Mr. Lonnie Lester, age 74, of St. Petersburg, Florida, formerly of Byronville, Georgia. United States Navy veteran, Mr. Patrick Antonio Clark, age 74, of 111 Meadowly Lane, Americus, Georgia, died Wednesday, October 6, at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service with military honors for United States Navy veteran, Mr. Patrick Antonio Clark, age 47, was held Thursday, October 21st, at the Eastview Cemetery in Americus, Georgia. The Reverend George F. Muntz, pastor of the Whole Truth International Ministry, officiated. The burial followed at the Andersonville National Cemetery in Andersonville, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved son, Mr. Jaquan Jackson, his goddaughter, Miss LaQuasia Jackson, and her husband, Mr. Isaiah Jackson, his beloved and devoted parents, Mr. Freddie Clark Sr. and Mrs. Patricia Clark, both of Americus, Georgia, his beloved grandmother, Mrs. Louise Hodge of Americus, Georgia, 5 beloved grandchildren, 2 devoted brothers, Mr. Darrell Gore and his wife, Mrs. Denise Gore, and Mr. Freddie Clark Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Marie Clark, 1 sister, Mrs. Shamika Angry, his god sister, Miss Claudia Waters, 6 beloved nephews, 1 beloved niece, 4 devoted aunts, Mrs. Mildred Stiles, Mrs. Leanna White, Mrs. Ola Mae White, and Miss Lily Mae Merritt. 3 beloved uncles, Mr. Larry Hodge and his wife, Mrs. Annie Ruth Hodge, Mr. Eddie James Hodge, and Mr. Dwight Hodge. A host of beloved cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Navy veteran, Mr. Patrick Antonio Clark, age 47, of 111 Medley Lane, Americus, Georgia. Miss Marie Brown, age 51, of 46 Hills Street, Rochelle, Georgia, died Thursday, October 14, at the Memorial Health University in Savannah, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Marie Brown, age 51, was held Saturday, October 23rd, at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Travis Johnson, pastor of the Piety Grove Baptist Church of Rochelle, Georgia, officiated. The burial followed at the Evergreen Cemetery in Rochelle, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Miss Gratisha Brown McHaffey and her husband, Mr. Sean McHaffey of Bogart, Georgia, and Mr. Antoine Brown of Rochelle, Georgia. 1 beloved grandchild, her loving and devoted sisters, Miss Odessa Brown of Rochelle, Georgia, Miss Martina Brown of Fitzgerald, Georgia, Mrs. Catherine Boone and her husband, Mr. Aaron Boone of Rochester, New York, Miss Elizabeth Brown of Lithonia, Georgia, Mrs. Betty Carter and her husband, Mr. Alfonso Carter of Rochelle, Georgia, and Miss Rosa Blackshear and her husband, Mr. Jerry Blackshear of Abbeville, Georgia. Her beloved devoted brothers, Mr. Connie Brown, Mr. Calvin Brown, Mr. Cornelius Brown and his wife, Mrs. Katie Brown, and Mr. William Brown and his wife, Mrs. Norma Brown of Rochelle, Georgia. Mr. Keith Brown of Knoxville, Tennessee, Mr. Charles Brown and Mr. Robert Brown, both of Rochelle, Georgia. Her beloved aunts and uncle, Mr. Lee Daniels of Pineview, Georgia, Mrs. Betty Hentley of New Jersey, Mrs. Minnie Hamilton of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mrs. Lizzie Oliver of Rochelle, Georgia. A host of loving and devoted nieces and nephews, to include Mrs. Jasmina Brown of Atlanta, Georgia, Mrs. Arkesia Brown of Chesapeake, Virginia, a beloved great niece, Miss Amaya Brown of Chesapeake, Virginia, a host of beloved cousins, other relatives, and many, many loving friends survive Miss Marie Brown, age 51, of 46 Hill Street, Rochelle, Georgia. Mrs. Rosa McBride, age 72, of 129 3rd Street, Araby, Georgia, died Sunday, October 17, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service and family visitation for Miss Rosa McBride, age 72, was held Thursday at the chapel of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Rosa McBride was held Saturday, October 23rd, at the Mount Pelion Missionary Baptist Church in Rayford, North Carolina. The pastor, Dr. Terrence Z. McCrimmon, officiated. The burial followed at the community cemetery in Rayford, North Carolina. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Christopher McBride of Douglasville, Georgia, and Mr. Tony Vince McBride and his wife, Miss Leisha McBride of Araby, Georgia. 8 loving and caring grandchildren, her devoted sisters, Mrs. Betty Wilkes and her husband, Mr. Thomas Wilkes of Charlotte, North Carolina, Miss Dolores White and her husband, Mr. Derek White of Spring Lake, North Carolina. Her beloved brothers, Mr. Harold Evans of Hope Mills, North Carolina, Mr. Martin Evans of Rayford, North Carolina, Mr. Melvin Evans and his wife, Mrs. Deborah Evans of Red Spring, North Carolina, and Mr. Marvin Evans and his wife, Mrs. Rico Evans of Hope Mills, North Carolina. A beloved uncle, Mr. John Leake of Spring Lake, North Carolina. A cousin whom she regarded as a brother, Mr. James Leake of Rayford, North Carolina. A special cousin, Mrs. Vernetta Carpenter of Rayford, North Carolina. A host of devoted nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many loving and devoted friends, to include a special friend, Mr. Derek Gardner of Fayetteville, North Carolina, survived. Mrs. Rosa Leak McBride, age 72, of Araby, Georgia, formerly of Rayford, North Carolina. Again, the family of Master Zymerian Newsome, age 14, of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Vietnam War Army veteran, Mr. Lonnie H. Lester of St. Petersburg, Florida, formerly of Byronville, Georgia. The family of United States Navy veteran, Mr. Patrick A. Clark of Americus, Georgia. The family of Miss Marie Brown of Rochelle, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Rosa Leak McBride of Araby, Georgia, and Somerville, North Carolina, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you, is their prayer. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors, serving Cordele and Vienna, were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. United States Army veteran, Mr. Major Wright, Sr., age 71, of 426A Lawson Road, DeSoto, Georgia, died Tuesday, October 19, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Miss Selena Ford and Mr. Major Wright Jr. and his companion, Miss Marquita Morrow, all of Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Alex Wright and his wife, Mrs. Bliss Wright of Japan, and Miss Amy Darisaw and her husband, Mr. Lorenzo Darisaw of Americus, Georgia. His beloved grandchildren, Nicholas, Matthew Jr., Kobe, and Karen. His devoted and loving sisters, Mrs. Emma Ruth Moore of New Jersey, Mrs. Susie Blue of Mullins, South Carolina, Mrs. Dorothy Sneed and her husband, Mr. Willie Sneed of DeSoto, Georgia, and Mrs. Virginia Chapman and her husband, Deacon Archie Chapman of Albany, Georgia. His devoted and beloved brothers, Mr. Ronnie Wright of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Lewis Carter and his wife, Mrs. Constance Carter of Miami, Florida, and Mr. Jeremy Carter and his wife, Mrs. Betty Carter of Browns Mill, New Jersey. His beloved sisters-in-law, Mrs. Emma Jean Wright, Mrs. Verna Wright, Mrs. Judith Wright of New Jersey, and Mrs. Marie Wright of Smithfield, Georgia. Mrs. Helen McClendon of Detroit, Michigan, Mrs. Evelyn Graham of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Lottie Johnson of New York. His brothers-in-law, Mr. Clinton Williams Sr. of Miami, Florida, Mr. Holly Johnson and Mr. Paul Johnson and his wife, Mrs. Ruthie Johnson of Atlanta, Georgia. His beloved aunt and uncle, Mrs. Virginia Austin and her husband, Mr. Willard Austin, and Mr. Lonnie Floyd Jr. of Miami, Florida. A host of beloved nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many loving and devoted friends survives United States Army veteran, Mr. Major Wright Sr. of 426A Lawson Road, DeSoto, Georgia. The funeral service with military honors for Mr. Major Wright Sr., age 71, will be held today, Sunday, October 24th at 12 noon, graveside at the Sue Walker Cemetery in Cobb, Georgia. His beloved and devoted niece, Dr. Deanne Hosley, pastor of the Jerusalem Baptist Church of Ellerville, Georgia, will officiate. Miss Hazel Clark, age 75, of 302 West 25th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, October 21st at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. James Clark of Lexington, Kentucky, and Miss Eloise Clark of Cordele, Georgia. 7 loving and devoted grandchildren, 4 of whom she raised, Mr. Brownie Clark and his wife, Mrs. Shaquella Clark, Miss Shatoria Hubbard, Mr. Michael Clark, and Mr. Marcus Clark, all of Cordele, Georgia. 9 beloved great-grandchildren, her loving nieces and nephews she raised, Miss LaKimberly Flowers and her husband, Sir Charles Flowers, Miss Shatiria Clark, Mr. Broderick Clark, Miss LaShonda Maynard, her beloved aunt, Mrs. Rosa May Daniels of Belle Glades, Florida, a host of nieces and nephews to include Mrs. Queen Evans and her husband, Mr. Norman Evans of Birmingham, Alabama, Miss Martha Mobley and Miss Barbara Clark, both of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, great-nieces, great-nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many loving and devoted friends, to include her special friends, Mrs. Tamika Jones of Warner Robins, Georgia, Miss LaKendra Finn, Miss Sharon Weaver, and Mr. Roderick Chambliss of Cordele, Georgia, survived Miss Hazel Clark, age 75, of 302 West 25th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Hazel Clark, age 75, will be held Saturday, October 30th at 11 a.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Porter Court in Cordele, Georgia. The burial will follow at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia, with the minister selected officiating. The public walk-up visitation will be Friday, October 29th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. United States Army veteran, Mr. Arthur Rosby Lawson, age 55, of 170 Easy Street, Abbeville, Georgia, died Wednesday, October 13th at the Fairview Park Hospital in Dublin, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Mr. Derek M. Lawson of Texas, Ms. Shaquilla R. Clark of Abbeville, Georgia, Mrs. Darnana Clark Carter, and Miss Giovanna Williams, both of Fitzgerald, Georgia, Mr. Kane Parker of Abbeville, Georgia, his beloved and devoted father, Mr. Arthur B. Lawson of Abbeville, Georgia, his loving and devoted brothers and sisters, Miss Christy Akers and Mr. Patrick Lawson, both of Fitzgerald, Georgia, Miss Gloria Jolly and Mr. William Jolly, both of Brunswick, Georgia, Miss Amy Joyner and Mr. Rodney Lawson, both of Abbeville, Georgia, Mr. Paul Gibson of Rochelle, Georgia, and Mrs. Artira Lawson of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army veteran, Mr. Arthur Rosby Lawson, age 55, of 170 Easy Street, Abbeville, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran, Mr. Arthur Rosby Lawson, age 55, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Willie Lawrence, age 86, of 2111 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, October 22nd at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved and devoted children, Mr. Charles Putman and his wife, Mrs. Geraldine Putman, Mr. Willie Lawrence III, and Miss Regina L. Johnson, all of Cordele, Georgia. 9 beloved grandchildren, 31 great-grandchildren, several beloved nieces and nephews, to include Miss Dolores Scott of Dana, Florida, and Mr. David Johnson, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Willie Lee Lawrence, age 86, of 2111 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Willie Lee Lawrence, age 86, will be announced pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Friends, that conclude our for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the J.W. Williams Again, friends, that conclude our funeral notice season. So please continue to support your churches during this time. And we do encourage everyone. Well,
Bank in Unadilla. Everyone is invited to come by to stop by the food pantry and also for the food giveaway. Christ Chapel Unadilla also extends a very cordial invitation for you to, they will host a Breakthrough to Excellence workshop for church administrators, and this will be held on Saturday, November the 13th at 10 o'clock a.m. Ms. Jeanette Taylor is the pastor relief trainer, and she will be the instructor during that time as well. Everyone is cordially invited. Emmanuel welcome you to fellowship with them. Mount Calvary Baptist Church invites you to worship with them, a Church Without Walls worship service. They will be on Facebook Live and on the grounds of the church today, beginning at 30 a.m. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. Mother Evelyn Lewis is the church mother. Deacon Leon Spears, chairman of deacons. Reverend Isaac Owens is the pastor. The Mount Zion First African Baptist Church extends to each of you a cordial invitation to worship with them. Sunday morning worship service at 10 o'clock. 22nd was the last day to submit an application for a ballot by mail. So please take advantage of the time that we have left to get out and vote in our upcoming municipal elections. Your vote is greatly needed and will be greatly appreciated. As we continue with our announcements this morning, we'd also like to remind you that the Evangelistic Tabernacle Family Outreach Center, located at 610 West Union Street in Vienna, Fall Festival will be held on Saturday, October 30th from 10 a.m. until. Lots of food, fun, and entertainment. Bishop and Mrs. Arthur West extend to you a cordial invitation to get out, to come out and worship and fellowship in the Evangelistic Tabernacle Family Outreach Center annual that will be held on Saturday, October the 30th. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. The MD White's Medical Institute would also like to encourage you to come if you are interested in getting the Pfizer or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine from 10 a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. Dr. Matthew White's MD. Wilcox Head Start is taking application day. Again, is held on November the 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Please exercise your right to vote. Mayor Juanita Kinchin is the incumbent. Pro Tem, Mr. Christopher Wheeler is also asking for your vote as well. And this comes from Mayor Juanita Kinchin. We ask that you will continue to keep yourselves abreast of all the information that's being circulated regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is here, and each day we're learning new mandates about who's available to take it. If you are eligible to take your booster, we do that. If you have not taken your initial vaccination, please do everything you can to get that taken care of. There are sites throughout our community where you may go by and get your vaccination, so please take advantage of it. We must realize and understand that the virus is still in our community, but we need to do everything we can to curb the violence. This will conclude our announcements for today.
Requested by the Everett family and the members of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, where she served as a deaconess and choir members for many, many years. Mother Emma Everett, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Deacon Eddie B. Mathis, who departed this life October 22nd, 2019. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Deaconess Lily Mathis, his children, his sister, Dr. Ruby Jackson, and the entire Mathis family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mother Carrie Lee Levant, who departed this life October 22nd, 2018. Dedication requested by the entire Levant family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Dorothy Woodson, who would have celebrated her birthday October 23rd, dedication comes from her beloved daughter, Miss Deborah Cobb, and her son, retired Master Sergeant James Crane, and the entire family, gone but not forgotten. Remember Mrs. Willie Mae Royal, who would have celebrated her birthday October 23rd, dedication requested by her beloved children, Justine, Marlena, Anthony, Deacon Gregory Pickens, her grandchildren, and the members of the Odom Grove Baptist Church, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Walden Martha Chives of Vienna, Georgia, who would have celebrated her birthday October 24th and departed this life on September 29, 2020. Dedication requested by the Chives family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Martha Chive, Deaconess of the Evergreen Baptist Church of Pinehurst, Georgia. Our first selection is dedicated to the following. Send out a very special wedding anniversary wish. Happy 67th anniversary to our friend and brother, Deacon Willie Colson Jr. and Mother Vanessa Colson, who celebrated their anniversary on Monday, October 18th. Dedication requested by the entire October 18. God continue to bless your union and keep it strong. Happy 39th anniversary. And Mrs. Brenda Cross, who celebrated their anniversary Tuesday, October 19th. And also happy birthday to Mr. Richard Cross, who celebrated his birthday Monday, October 25th. God bless your union and keep it strong. Dedication requested by their beloved family. Happy 39th wedding anniversary. The following special birthday wish goes out to the Reverend Nelson Maynard, who celebrated his birthday on Saturday, October 16th. Dedication comes from his beloved wife and the entire family. The Reverend Nelson Maynard, pastor of the Crossroad Baptist Church and the St. James Baptist Church. Happy birthday to Mr. Jimmy Hamilton, who celebrated his birthday Thursday, October 21st. Dedication requested by the Hamilton and Rogers family. Happy birthday to Mother Jessie Colson, who celebrated Thursday, October 21st. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire family. Happy birthday to our friend and brother, Deacon Vet T. Crane of Pinehurst, Georgia, who celebrated his birthday on Saturday, October 23rd. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Theron Jones, my neighbor, and the entire Jones and Talbot family. Miss Naya Ford and family, Mr. and Mrs. James Pittman and family, Mrs. Willie Mae Crapp and family, Commissioner Vester Shepherd and family. It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. United States Army veteran, Mr. Major Wright, Sr., age 71, of 426A Lawson Road, DeSoto, Georgia, died Tuesday, October 19th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Hazel Clark, age 75, of 302 West 25th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, October 21st, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Funeral service for Ms. Hazel Clark, age 75, will be held Saturday, October 30th at 11 a.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. Burial will follow at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia, with the minister selected officiating. The public walk-up visitation will be Friday, October 29th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. United States Army veteran Mr. Arthur Rosby Lawson, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Willie Lawrence, age 86, of 2111 South Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, October 22nd at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Willie Lawrence, age 86, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our next and final selection for this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Master Zymerian Newsome, age 14, of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Vietnam War Army veteran Mr. Lonnie H. Lester of St. Petersburg, Florida, and Byronville, Georgia. The family of United States Navy veteran Mr. Patrick of Americus, Georgia. The family of Miss Marie Brown of Rochelle, Georgia. The family of Miss Rosa McBride of Araby, Georgia, and Somerville, North Carolina. This selection is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of United States and abroad, to all veterans and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, goes out to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, and to my son, Jai Wilkerson Parker. This selection goes out to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Billy Ann Hall, and family, to my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, and his beloved wife, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and their grandson, Noble. Goes out to my sister, Miss Betty Mae Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, and to Miss Patsy Jackson, her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. This selection goes out to my nephew, Deacon Kenneth Smith, program chairman of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. Goes out to our pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, and to his wife, Sister Kathy Williams. And our selection this morning, again, goes out to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Goes out to our beloved Miss Easter May Sanders and family, Mr. George and Mrs. Annette Felton and family, Miss Kimberly Felton and family. This selection goes out to Deacon and Mrs. Dan Colson and family, Mr. Johnny and Miss Barbara Dennis and family, Miss Lucille McGill and families, Gwen Westbrook and family, Chairman Deacon Sammy and Sister Shanice McGill and family, Deacon and Mrs. George Whitehead and family, Mrs. Geraldine Harvey and family, Deacon Eugene and Miss Deborah Williams and family. The selection goes out to Miss Gail Grant and family, Goes out to the Reverend and Mrs. Layfield Buckholz and family, Mr. Jenny and Mrs. Juanita Tarbert, and the entire Tarbert family, Mother Dorothy Tarbert and family, Miss Lucy Baker and family, Deacon Dave Chambliss and family, Mr. and Mrs. Jamie Chambliss and family, Miss Sharon Chambliss and family, Mother Adeline Lofton.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning. In your time of need, contact the